Battlefront 2 hype has gone through the roof, and it's absolutely insane the amount of people that are calling for a Battlefront 3. Star Wars Battlefront 3 is trending absolutely everywhere. If you look on Twitter, if you look on Instagram, if you look at the abundance of YouTube videos, everyone is screaming for Battlefront 3. And now, yes, there's been no official announcement about the resurgence in players from EA or Disney for that matter, but there is a clear desire for Battlefront 3. It is evident that people want a Battlefront experience in 2025. And the amount of comments on my YouTube videos and tons of other people are just saying hashtag Star Wars Battlefront 3, and it just shows that many people are hoping that EA will kind of take the hint and bring forth a Battlefront 3. And there is no doubt in my mind that this has really sparked a conversation with EA, with Lucasfilm, with Disney, about the higher player counts. There is no way they are just absolutely blanking and avoiding it. They must be aware of it on some level. And even if EA saw this massive resurgence in players, we're not really too sure at this point who has the authority to greenlight a Battlefront 3. Is it EA? Is it Disney? Is it Lucasfilm? Who knows at this point? And trust me, they would be so stupid to not even entertain the idea, because Twitch numbers for Battlefront 2 have skyrocketed, player numbers have skyrocketed, everything in regards to Battlefront has gone through the roof. But I mean, this is the thing, right, with Battlefront 3 is that it always kind of, it circles round every couple of months or every couple of years, people yearning for a new title, people wanting to see something new in regards to the Star Wars IP in general. But generally, Star Wars Battlefront 3 is always a topic of conversation when it comes to Star Wars games, because we were meant to get a Battlefront 3 in the original games, but it never happened. And there really is that fan desire for it. And if you remember back in 2015, Star Wars hype was absolutely insane with the reveal of Battlefront 2015 by EA, and it looked great, but it really did lack depth. There was beautiful graphics, and it was set in the original trilogy, and the sound effects and the design looked amazing. Multiplayer was really, really fun, but there were some underlying problems, right? There was no single player campaign, and there wasn't really that much to explore. There wasn't much content, there was a few maps and a few modes. And not to mention, it was only set in the original trilogy. There was no prequels or sequels, and this was said to be done because there wasn't enough time before The Force Awakens released, and they wanted to hone in on that. But many people just said it felt too simple and, it got boring quite quickly. A lot of that content was really locked behind the season pass, which made the game feel kind of pay to win for some, but still it got people excited about Star Wars shooters again and really did help pave the way for Battlefront 2. Now, EA's Battlefront 2, it had quite a turbulent launch. There was the loot box scandal of 2017, and there was tons of other stuff in regards to progression. People were locked out of it due to these loot boxes. But nowadays, the game has evolved. EA listened, they changed the progression system, and overall, the game has become widely loved by the community. And to be honest, even Battlefront 2 from 2005 is still undeniably loved by the community. Not the collection version, but the original version. Because geez, that was a story. But you can't deny that fans do really just want a multiplayer Star Wars experience, something fresh and new, and that's something that Battlefront 3 would represent. Now, going back to the Battlefront collection, the Battlefront collection was intended to deliver a nostalgic experience for those who wanted to play the original Battlefront 2 and 1. But unfortunately, due to the Battlefront collection's poor optimization and, to be honest, its lack of polish, it was a failure, a massive, massive failure, and you'll be lucky if you can get a full lobby these days. And this is the thing, right? Despite the hope, the promise, the desire for that collection, it flopped. It did not reignite any fandom whatsoever. It really didn't. And to be honest, all hope was lost with the Battlefront collection, but, rebellions are built on hope. And hope there was in the early 2000s. There was Battlefront 3. Battlefront 3 was being made. And there are a couple of videos nowadays circulating around YouTube where you can see the old footage of the game that we never got. And these builds of the game showed real promise, ground-to-space combat, and a completely overhauled gameplay system. It looked absolutely fantastic, and there have been attempts to revive that version of Battlefront 3, but at the moment, nothing crazy. But most content from that Battlefront 3 was actually moved to a PSP title, Battlefront Elite Squadron. And yes, it was a massively scaled back version, but the core element of what that Battlefront 3 was going to be is in that game. Now let's just entertain the idea of Battlefront 3. Say it's right now going to be put into development. It's going to need at least 5 years worth of development, hundreds of millions of dollars, in staffing and development costs and infrastructure, and not to mention finding out a way to not make a Battlefront title controversial, leaving all of the pay-to-win mechanics behind and making it something a bit more user-friendly. Because, I don't want locked heroes again. That was not a great time. Because there was some launch issues with Battlefront 2, as I mentioned, it's unavoidable. You can't not think of Battlefront 2 now without thinking of that controversial time. And we all know that Battlefront 2 was very controversial at its launch, but I think there really has been enough time for a new Battlefront to take the centre stage. But at the end of the day, Lucasfilm, Disney would have to greenlight it, and if they want EA to do it, that means that EA actually has to, agree to it. They might be working on something else. But with the turbulence of the Battlefront franchise in recent years, it makes me wonder if there's a financial risk to it and that the companies might be a little averse to wanting to make a Battlefront 3 just because of the controversy surrounding the IP in recent years. And it is really something I think that they will take into consideration if they want to make a Battlefront 3, because it will be a major risk. To put it plainly, I really don't believe that the next Star Wars multiplayer experience is going to be a Battlefront 3. I think it's going to be something a bit smaller just to kind of test the waters. And it'll be something smaller, something a little bit more refined, maybe something more like a team shooter akin to Call of Duty, because we know that one of those was in development, but I'm not too sure if it is now. Because Disney just keep cancelling all the games. Stop. And it could be something with DLCs, or it could be something like Fortnite, where, it's a live service model and they keep the game fresh by introducing new maps, and then they just have some paid skin mechanics. At this point, anything goes. But I genuinely think that this approach may be a bit more viable for Disney and Lucasfilm and EA, for example. I believe that they would go in that direction before they'd fully commit to a Battlefront 3. And that's just plain and simple. But at the end of the day, I would love to see a Battlefront 3. I don't think anyone wouldn't want to see a Battlefront 3. And that game, to be honest, even though there may be some financial risk to it, would sell so well. It would sell so well. It would really sell so well. And I know that on the PC, you have the modding scene, so there is a bit more replayability in regards to Battlefront 2, but for console players, we're just stuck with whatever was left from EA. And this movement for Battlefront 2 might not even just be about Battlefront. I think there is a genuine hunger for Star Wars games. In the early 2000s, we were getting Star Wars games after Star Wars games after Star Wars games, but nowadays we're, lucky if we get one every couple of years, and I guess that makes them kind of special. But the hunger is there. People want Star Wars. And keep what you're doing. Continue discussing Battlefront 3. Continue commenting on YouTube videos saying #Star Wars Battlefront 3, because I'd love to see it. Because Battlefront 3 would truly be amazing.